What's good, guys? LM7 here, and this time we are not doing a review, but like I said, we have some comparisons we have to do between older sets and the newer sets that just came out to see if you want to spend the money and buy one of the remakes if you already have the older set itself. The first one is going to be the TIE Fighter 9492 and the new one 75101. Alright, so let's just look initially and see what we have. Let's point out the obvious things just by looking at them like this. Alright, so obviously they're different colors. Throwing that out there because people will probably say something if you don't mention that. You know, the TIE Fighter, the old one is gray with black, and then the new one is black with a little bit of gray and then some red highlights. So there's that. That's just a general thing that we can see. You can also see right off the bat that the new TIE Fighter has this antenna gun thing that I still don't know what it is, and the old one doesn't have that at all. So maybe that designates it as the Special Forces one, which is what that TIE Fighter actually is. Alright. Okay, so that's initial looks. Prices. The old one was $54.99 and the new one is $69.99. So there's quite a difference in price, but there is also a difference in pieces. This one has 400 pieces and this one has 500 pieces. Does that equal a $15 price jump? Probably not, but whatever. That's just something you'll have to look into yourself. I can't tell you whether or not you want to spend that kind of money. So, that's pieces and price and the obvious color things. Now let's look at some of the less details, I suppose. So looking at it, they are exactly the same height. And I suppose if I really wanted to... Oh, no, I'm wrong. They are different widths. This is probably not a smart idea, but the new TIE Fighter is a tad bit wider than the old one, so they don't line up perfectly. So the new one is a slightly bigger version. Wing-wise, they look to be about the same size. I'm almost positive they're the same size. Now, well, I might as well talk about the wings since we're looking straight at them. Obviously, this is black. You know, they're inverse colors, which that's kind of cool if you look at it like that. Maybe it's a work of art. Anyway, this panel here, this middle panel, is built differently. So we can actually bring this a little closer, since I don't have to worry about showing boxes and all of that fun stuff. But you can see this is a little more narrow right here, where this one's a little bigger and even spacing, and that is because they are actually built differently. They're built using different pieces. It's hard to see the black, but if I show it like this, you can see the different pieces used compared to the pieces used on the older one. And then obviously you can see that these I don't know. I don't really know what they're called, but the details on the wings are built differently, whereas the new one is brick built and the old one is a singular piece, which at the time was quite a good way to do it. But in my opinion, I personally like the new one better. It looks more, it's more defined because they're even lines, whereas these are, because of the piece itself is different. It's not a consistent in width piece. So that's just a look at the wings, and obviously both wings are identical to each respective TIE Fighter, so we don't have to look at the other side. But there is, I did get a comment, and a lot of people have been saying, well, the wings are built exactly the same for both the TIE Fighters, which is not true at all. The wings are actually built differently. So if we look at this wing in particular, you can see that the panels are right here, which is a 6x12 panel with the missing a whole bunch of studs to allow the hinge pieces to go along. So then you have 2 of those, followed by a 4x12 and then a 1x12 on either side. And I lost a wing. Good, lucky me. Well, that'll let us look at it. I suppose it'll let us look at it a little better then. It's, like I said, same on this wing. So that's like this wing, and then it has the triangular pieces. But this one, as you can see if we used a light to shine it a little bit, you can see uses the 6x12 pieces in opposite directions and uses 4 of them compared to 2 and makes the wing less studded, whereas the new wing is a little more studded. Now I don't really have a preference on that, it doesn't really matter to me, but this is just an in-depth look at the different kinds of construction. And another thing I noticed is right here is studded on this one, but on the other wing, to get that plate on there, they used a different kind, which doesn't allow it to look studded. Now the ring around it, this black ring and then the gray ring around the other one, those are exactly the same, and they're built the same way with hinge pieces and the same amount of pieces for each one. So there's nothing new about that. I'm actually going to take the wing off just for my purposes to make it easier. And then here, obviously this is built differently because of the way that the front looks, and it's not very big and complicated, so that it makes this wing, you can clearly tell, looks different, as there's even rounded pieces in this one instead of all the very sharp triangular pieces. And there's 2 plates on the new one to keep it more securely together. And the hinge mechanism, not the hinge mechanism, but the locking mechanism that keeps the wings in place is different for both the TIE fighters. This one you can see is this kind of bulky looking piece, which I don't really like, and then an axle, and then there's 2 I forgot what they're called, connector pieces that go right there. Well, this one you can see has 4 red little hinge clips, which then you put onto the right here. It's clipped onto that. So there's that. I don't know why it came off. It doesn't. It's the first time that's ever happened, so maybe it just wasn't on enough. But anyway, if we look at the back, obviously the backs are different because of the fact that this one is a dual cockpit TIE fighter and that one's not. So the engines are like the exhaust are in a different place here compared to right here. And then this opens on this one and that one doesn't open like that. And this is also a more bulky piece and falls off more compared to this one, which is just a single little hatch, which is much easier to use than the older one. So, lastly, since we've looked at everything, I mentioned that there's a bulky piece on the wing that I don't much like. I love the way that they did it on this one, where it is kind of a, they use a lot of hinge pieces to go around in a circle to make it look like it's connected better. But obviously the design of the body itself is different for this one and that one. You can see this one just looks all around more spherical and more connected, whereas this one of course they're using an older glass piece instead of the newer ones, which look much fancier, but you know, just the overall circle is much smaller on this one than it is in the other one. And the final thing is these are flick fire missiles in the old one, and the new one has the new spring-loaded shooters. So obviously that's a difference, and I'm pretty sure everyone prefers the spring-loaded shooters over the flick missiles, even though those weren't terrible in their own right. But anyway, that wraps up the comparison, the in-depth comparison of the old 94-92 TIE Fighter and the new 75-101 Special Forces TIE Fighter. Like I said previously, the old one came out in 2012, and the new one obviously came out this year, 2015. So it's only a 3-year difference between the sets, but the improvements on the new one are so much. They make the set so much better than the last one, even though the last one is not a bad set by any means. But I just think that the new one they improved greatly on, and it's a huge step up, even considering the high price spike. But anyway, thanks for watching. Leave a like and comment if you'd like. I appreciate it, and it helps me out. And stick around for the X-Wing and the Millennium Falcon comparisons when they get uploaded as well. See you guys later.